There is an ocean of everything you want: success, power, and the most satisfying relationships. It's all available and waiting for you. This is The Zone of Action with your host, Gerald Action Jackson.
Stop guessing, start winning what actually works in business. Stop guessing, start winning what actually works in business beyond the startup hype. How to build something that lasts. When you sit down and really think about entrepreneurship, success, and building something meaningful, there's a truth that doesn't get talked about enough. Most people are not failing because they don't have ideas. They're not failing because they don't have motivation. And they're definitely not failing because they don't have access to information. They're failing because they're focused on the wrong information. We live in a time where you can pull up a video, read a blog, or take a course on how to start a business in a matter of minutes. Step 1, register your company. Step 2, build a website. Step 3, create a logo. Step 4, post on social media. That's everywhere. But here's a real question that separates people who struggle from people who succeed. Does anybody actually need what you're offering? That's where everything begins. Let's talk about that in a real, practical, and honest way. The first thing you have to understand is this: ideas are cheap, but solving real problems is valuable. You can come up with 100 ideas sitting at your kitchen table. You can brainstorm all day long. You can get excited about concepts that sound good, look good, and feel good. But if nobody is willing to pay for the solution, it's not a business. It's a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with hobbies. But don't confuse a hobby with a business. A business solves a problem that people are willing to invest money into fixing. That means before you spend $1 on branding, before you build a website, before you announce anything to the world, you need to validate demand. Validation is not complicated, but it does require humility. It means you go out and talk to real people. You ask real questions. You listen more than you speak. You find out what frustrates them, what slows them down, what costs them time, and what costs them money. You don't assume, you confirm. Because assumption is expensive. Let me say that again. Assumption is expensive. A lot of people build entire businesses based on what they think people want. Then 6 months later, they're confused because nobody's buying. It's not because they're not talented. It's not because they didn't work hard. It's because they skipped the most important step, confirming that there is real demand. If you want to move differently, start here. Before you launch anything, answer this question clearly. What problem am I solving, and who specifically has this problem? Not a vague answer, not something broad. Be specific. Because specificity creates clarity, and clarity creates direction. Now, once you understand the problem, the next step is building a plan. And I want to be clear about something. A plan does not have to be complicated. It just has to be intentional. A lot of people get stuck because they think they need a 40-page business plan with projections and charts and everything looking perfect. That's not what you need in the beginning. What you need is a working plan. A simple outline that answers a few key questions. How will I deliver this solution? Who am I selling to? How will I reach them? What will it cost me to operate? How will I make money? That's it. You don't need perfection. You need direction, because without a plan, you're just reacting. And when you're always reacting, you're not leading your business, you're chasing it. Now, let's talk about something that stops more people than almost anything else: money management. This is where a lot of good ideas quietly disappear. Not because they weren't viable, Not because the person didn't care, but because they didn't manage their money properly. Cash flow is the heartbeat of any business. You can have a great product, a strong brand, and real demand, but if your money is not managed correctly, none of that will matter. You have to understand where your money is going. You have to understand your expenses. You have to understand how long you can operate without new income. And most importantly, you have to respect your money. Because money is not just currency, it's time, it's energy, it's opportunity. When you mismanage money, you're not just losing dollars, you're losing options. So what does smart money management look like in the beginning? It means starting lean. It means avoiding unnecessary expenses. It means not trying to look successful before you are successful. A lot of people get caught up in appearances. They want the office, the equipment, the branding, the image. And before they even make consistent revenue, they've already created pressure that didn't need to exist. Keep it simple. Keep it focused. Keep your overhead low. Give yourself time to learn, adjust, and grow. Now, once you have demand, a plan, and your finances under control, the next piece is execution. And this is where everything becomes real. Execution is where ideas either come to life or fade away. You can have the best idea in the world, but if you don't execute consistently, it won't matter. Execution is not about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right things consistently. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it. It's about following through. It's about communicating clearly with customers, partners, and your team. It's about managing your time like it matters. Because it does. A lot of people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. Consistency compounds. Small actions repeated daily build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds results. And results build belief. But here's something else you need to understand about execution. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to misjudge things. You're going to have moments where you question what you're doing. That's not failure. That's part of the process, which brings us to one of the most important pieces of all: resilience. Resilience is what keeps you going when things don't go according to plan, because they won't. There will be setbacks. There will be slow periods. There will be unexpected challenges. What separates people who succeed from people who stop is not the absence of problems. It's how they respond to those problems. Resilient people adjust. They don't ignore reality. They study it. They ask, what is the situation teaching me? They look at feedback, even when it's uncomfortable. They refine their approach. They stay in motion. And that last part is important. They stay in motion because progress doesn't require perfection. It requires movement. Now, let's talk about mindset, because everything we've discussed sits on top of how you think. Your mindset determines how you interpret challenges. It determines how you respond to setbacks. It determines whether you see obstacles as barriers or as opportunities to grow. You need tenacity. You need self-belief. And you need a willingness to learn. Not just when things are going well, but especially when they're not. One of the most powerful things you can do is break big goals into smaller milestones. Because big goals can feel overwhelming, but small steps feel manageable. And when you complete small steps consistently, you build momentum. Momentum is powerful. It shifts your energy. It changes your perspective. It keeps you moving forward. So instead of focusing on the entire mountain, focus on the next step. Take it, then take the next one. And before you know it, you're further along than you thought you would be. Now let's bring this all together in a simple way. There's a formula that works across entrepreneurship, business, and life. Need plus plan plus discipline plus resilience equals progress. Let's walk through that. Need. Are you solving a real problem? Plan. Do you have a clear direction? Discipline. Are you executing consistently? Resilience. Are you adjusting and continuing when things get tough? If you have those four things working together, you're moving forward. Maybe not as fast as you want, maybe not as smoothly as you hoped, but you are progressing, and progress is what matters. Because progress leads to growth, growth leads to improvement, and improvement leads to results. So when you think about your goals, your business, or your next move, keep it simple. Ask yourself 3 questions. What problem am I solving? How am I going to pay for it? And how am I going to keep improving until it works? If you can answer those questions honestly and consistently, you're already ahead of most people. Because you're not just thinking about starting, you're thinking about sustaining. You're thinking about building something that lasts. And that's the difference. That's what separates ideas from outcomes. That's what separates motion from progress. And that's what turns potential into reality. So take your time, but take action. Be thoughtful, but be consistent. Be confident, but stay teachable. And most importantly, keep going. Because success is not built in a moment. It's built in the decisions you make daily, one step at a time. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter, JeroldDJAX. On Facebook, Gerald, Action Jackson, and Zone of Action. Check out the website, GeraldJackson.com. Happiness starts with you. Not with your relationship, not with your job, not with your money, but with you in the zone of action.